Hello again, I'm Blunty and welcome to part 2, no that's 2, that's 4, of this guide to help beginning vloggers get their head around all this stuff. Now, when you start doing things like this, one of the first things you have to consider is, are you going to be using a script? Are you going to be working from notes? Are you going to ad-lib the entire thing straight off the top of your head? And the easiest answer to that is yes, no, maybe, all the time, make your choice depending on what you're doing, really. Now, if you're doing an opinion piece, for example, you've read something in the news, or something has happened, or you're just angry about something, or you're happy about something, you just want to say something about something, then you're fine with ad-libbing that. If you're not very good at ad-libbing, speaking off the top of your head, making things up as you go along, you tend to speak slowly, maybe you're going a lot, and you can't focus while you're talking at the same time, then maybe ad-libbing is not for you. If you're like me and you've begun to create this on-screen ability, just ramble and ramble and ramble on and on and on with barely taking a breath, then you're fine with ad-libbing. If not, maybe you want to work from notes, so you can sort of read one note on one thing and do your piece to camera based on what you think about that, then stop, you can put an edit in, you can go on, read the next note and do the next thing, or maybe you just want to have the note sitting next to your camera so you can glance over once in a while and remember what you wanted to talk about and which points you wanted to hit and which sort of things you wanted to actually talk about. And that's how I'm making this video. I'm not working on a script, I'm ad-libbing, but I'm based on notes, and the reason I use notes for videos like this is so I don't forget that I wanted to talk about something, because I have a list of things I want to cover in this video, so I have that list written down in note form so I don't forget to do something. When I'm working on my product reviews and video game reviews in particular, I tend to work from a script because I want to hit some very specific things, to say them in a very specific way, to make it as entertaining as possible, throw in a few jokes and puns or whatnot. And regardless of whether you're working off a script or notes or ad-libbing, always record way more than you need, because it's really easy to cut stuff out that you later decide that doesn't need to be there than it is to go back and re-record bits and pieces and get the camera angles to match, or get the situation to match, or get the lighting to match, or get the location to match and all that sort of stuff. If you forget something, it's much harder to go back and refilm it than it is to just cut it out in the first place or in the second place or whatnot. Anyway, the point is, always record way more than you need. And here's another quick tip, particularly if you're shooting outdoors like I have been today. It never ever hurts to get some what we call B-roll footage, which is footage of stuff going on, like cars going by or birds sort of sitting in a tree or something like that. Something, about the environment that you're in, because it comes in really handy for covering up awkward edits, because you just lay it over what the stuff you're talking to, and when you cut away from that secondary footage, bam, you're in a new location or in a new shot or whatnot, and the conversation feels like it just went on and on and on, instead of having a big break in what you see. Alright, that's it. On to audience question time, and I got a lot of questions about backgrounds. Is it okay to have stuff in your background? Is it preferable to have a blank, simple background? Is it too distracting? Is it not interesting enough? And people are surprisingly confused about the whole issue of the background, and it really doesn't have to be confusing. My general rule of thumb is, it's okay to have both. You can have stuff in the background that looks nice as long as there's not too much movement, not too much distraction. I mean, look, if you're making a video about the geopolitical situation in Pakistan, it's probably not a good idea to have, kids doing skateboard tricks in the background of your video, because that's just going to be distracting from your point. However, if you are doing a video about skateboard tricks, it might be a good idea to have guys doing skateboard tricks in the background. It's about what's relevant to the video, and is it going to be distracting from what you are actually talking about. In this instance, I've just got a little city skyline here with a little fence, not too distracting. It looks kind of nice and picturesque, but you're not staring at that instead of listening to me. I mean, you might be staring at that because I'm talking about backgrounds and you're wondering what's in my background, but you're still listening to what I'm saying, basically. Take this for example. Are you actually listening to what I'm saying at the moment, or are you reading that sign? I mean, if you're not outdoors, you don't have to worry too much about stuff going on your background. I mean, there could be a guy walking by here at any minute, which could be distracting, but if you're indoors, you can record against a blank wall, which I often do for the sake of just having no distractions, or you can do it against a green screen, which is sort of a more complicated effect, or you can just do it sitting at your desk or have your bedroom in the background or whatnot, so long as there's not too much distraction going, not too much gear in the background. If in doubt, do it against a blank wall. If you don't have a blank wall, you get a piece of fabric from a craft store or whatnot and hang it in the background, something dark and with no sort of serious pattern on it. Black felt works really well if you just want to sort of pop out from your background so people have no choice but to focus on you, because it's all about you and your message to the people of the world. But you know, it's not just what's in the background of your shot that makes a difference, it's also what you can hear in the background. If you've got construction going on, if you're outside, you've got lawnmowers going on, you've got people driving by and all that sort of stuff, it's not going to be good. You've got to pay attention to more than just what you see in the viewfinder. You've got to pay attention to what you can hear, what your camera can hear, which is often a little bit different to what you can hear. So pay attention to background in image and sound, because they're both desperately important if you want to make a video that people are going to be able to pay attention to, understand what you're saying, not be distracted by noises and stuff going on in the background and all that sort of stuff. Just pay attention. It's important. Desperately important. Listen to me. Gone into a weird accent. Kind of somewhere between the Pakistani and Captain Picard. So I want to thank everyone who's been sending in questions to the first video. Keep sending your questions in. Next video I'll be picking out one particular question from one particular person to give away the first of 2 free Sony Bloggie video cameras, which I've been recording this entire video on so far. So yeah, keep sending your questions in, because it helps me know what you need to know, so I'm not just assuming stuff about what you guys want to know and what you need to know and the difference between the two. And see, I'm breaking the rambling rule already. Catch you next time.